Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 204. We've had a short break, no show for 2 weeks, but we are back with the world first being over and a some news coming up now for the next patch 8.25. Unfortunately, no PTR notes, but there are some development notes to go through, so we got a few things to talk about. Before we continue, actually, I'm not going to introduce my co-host. I need to introduce myself first. So I'm Anya Fuchsia, also known as just Annie. I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch, and I do this show weekly with my lovely co-host, Perculia.
Hey everyone, I'm Perk. I run Wowhead, so I oversee and write a lot of the news and guides and features you see on the site. And like Annie said, we took a break for the world first race, but now that is over. Congratulations to Method. And we are back with some 825 development notes, which means next week we will probably have some interesting data mining. And then we've also got some classic updates we want to share with you and some interesting quirky news like the physical authenticators are no longer for sale, which I never really thought of for a bit, but now I'm sad. So why don't we jump into it with the most popular topic of the week on Wowhead, which is the 825 development notes. And while
Yes.
some of the topics we knew about from BlizzCon, other topics were kind of a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Let's jump straight into the first topic.
Before we jump straight in, we have a giveaway because Sass is here.
Okay,
30 days of
let's
game
not jump
time.
in yet.
Yes. 30 days of game time. The keyword is reload, RELOAD. And if you're a subscriber, you have 4 times a chance to enter the giveaway. And if you have any questions on what we're talking about, you can send them to Sass and he will compile them and we'll try answering them at the end of the show.
Yes. That's it.
So,
now we can jump in?
Yes, now we can go.
Now we can jump in. All right, first topic here. If you guys remember from BlizzCon, the Worgen and goblins were promised new models, and this is finally happening as part of the patch 8.25. So let me give you guys a quick reminder of how they look like. We have a quick slideshow here. This is the goblin model being shown, and let's also quickly show the Worgen model right there. So that's nice. So if you're playing a Worgen or a Goblin, you have this to look forward to. And on top of that, we have also learned that they'll be getting some heritage armor in the future as well.
Yeah, so at BlizzCon, they only talked about the models, but then in May I was actually at the Classic Press Summit, but they did some 8.2 interviews on the side. MMO RPG interviewed Blizzard about 8.2, and they were told that shortly after Rise of Ashara, you're going to see the update, and they'll also have new heritage armor with that as well. So that was pretty exciting, and that's leading us to speculate on what the storyline will be to unlock them because, you know, the Worgen obviously have a lot of beef with Sylvanas, and she plays, you know, a big role. So it'll be interesting to see if they try to like reclaim their city or if they make peace with the death of Greymane's son or how they view the Forsaken. And then with the goblins, we have the whole, you know, Mechagon quest line developing with the Before the Storm goblin and gnome couple coming back. So maybe they'll be involved in that story. So I think that could be cool to see. I'm excited about that. And I know a lot of people are really excited, especially about female Worgen in general. I know we had some questions about that at BlizzCon, and they were talking about how they were going to make more updates to the, I think, eye glows and eye color. So that was exciting.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting. And I think heritage armor in general is really cool to have. So having more and more of the races covered with all the heritage armors will be awesome. Which races do we have after this that still need one?
So on the Alliance side, we have Draenei. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up my race chart here just so I don't like repeat anything.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. We've got Draenei, Human, Night Elf, Pandaren. And then on the Horde side, we've got Orc, Pandaren, and Orc, Pandaren, Troll, and Undead, which I could see storylines developing for all of them. I mean, obviously, Night Elf and Forsaken.
Yes.
I can see that clashing in the future.
Yeah, that can definitely be in BFA.
Yeah. Like, human and orc, it's like something related to Anduin and Thrall.
Mm-hmm.
Troll could be something with Vol'jin returning. Um, Draenei is interesting because I feel like that could have been something in 7-3 with the whole villain focus and Argus, but who knows? I know that there was a lot of speculation with the Magcar Orc storyline and like the AU Draenei, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. If they ever return, that could be something for the Draenei. And Pandaren is interesting, but if the old god whispers ever shake out, the Pandaren or there was a lot of like old gods and the heart of the old god in Siege of Orgrimmar, so maybe they would have some sort of story about trying to like reclaim tranquility in the
Mm-hmm.
face of the Shah and all the old god bad energy going around.
Do you think it's possible that the Pandaren on both Alliance and Horde side will have the same model?
I could see that, or it being very similar, but just some subtle like blue and
Mm-hmm.
red accents. But I think if it was the same, I think that could be nice, especially with how they were always meant to be more neutral and
Neutral.
measured and not
Mm-hmm.
really picking a side.
Mm-hmm. Because especially at the beginning, as you're leveling together up to what is it, level 10,
Hmm. On the Isle, yeah.
maybe yeah, maybe having the same one could make sense, but at the same time having a slight tint difference could also be okay.
Yeah.
I think
I
that
think
would
that's
also
how
make
they
sense.
I think that's how they did the mouse. Like there was like a blue and red variant of some of the Pandaren only stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, so Worgen and Goblin are getting the update in 8.2.5, and whenever we can data mine stuff, we will try to add that as soon as possible to the dressing room so you
Yes.
can dress up your updated models and preview all the animations and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. So the news that we have today are not actual patch notes; they are 8.2.5, what Blizzard calls them, development notes. So
Yeah.
it's like a teaser, I guess you could say. And we were kind of expecting the PTR to be revealed even today, but it seems like it's gonna take a little bit more time. And maybe that's a good thing. Then we have time to settle with the world first race being just completed and everything going on, and just sit back and go through all the things that have been mentioned so that we can be reminded of what we can be expecting. And on top of that,
Yeah.
all the new stuff, of course.
It's definitely interesting timing as well with Classic, because you don't want Blizzard to be like dropping the PTR notes when something is happening with Classic at the same time. And there's a Hearthstone themed expansion that's very Warcraft themed, like Saviors of Uldum, that they've been hyping up a lot these past few days. So maybe they want people to be thinking about playing that expansion instead of as opposed to distracting them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Which I want to talk about more after we reveal all the notes. I have some thoughts
Yes.
on when it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Brightpaw is being ridiculous in the corner. I have the lid open on the electronic keyboard, and he's just like dancing on all the
Oh.
keys and making noises.
Oh.
Um,
He's adorable. But yeah, let's
but yes,
let's move on to the second topic then, which is the
yeah,
WoW's 15th anniversary, which is also something that has been mentioned in the past, but we were reminded of this, and maybe some of it will be new information for you.
oh yeah, it is new. Yeah, some of it's new.
Some of it is new.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So yeah. So the part we knew about before is that if you log in, you get the little Nefarian pet, and if
Yes.
you do some max level content, you get this beautiful Obsidian Worldbreaker mount themed after Deathwing. But the parts which were new is that you have to complete these three like unique holiday raids that have three bosses each in them for the mount. And the totally new part is that there's going to be some Alterac Valley inspired battleground, and you earn currency in that, and then you can buy the Stormpike Battle Charger for the Alliance or Frostwolf Snarler for the Horde.
Yeah, I thought that was completely new because I couldn't find
Yeah,
any pictures for those.
no.
Okay,
So,
okay, yeah, because I thought so too,
yeah,
and I was like, we know about this mount, which looks very cool, by the way, the Obsidian
yes.
Wordbreaker. But there's two more mounts being mentioned, one for Alliance and one for Horde, and apparently it is new then. I thought maybe I'd forgotten, so I was a little bit confused about that.
Yeah, I wonder what they'll look like. I wonder if they'll just be like upresed or highly armored version of the original ones from
Mm-hmm.
AV. That could be interesting.
Because I remembered the other two mounts that were mentioned, the Alabaster mounts, which were mentioned to even be on the store. So having the rewards from Altric Valley and having this one being possible to buy on the store, it made no sense to me. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I think these are two different mounts.
Yeah, they did not mention the alabaster ones in the 825 notes. So it's like we learned about
Yes.
there's technically 5 mounts associated with the patch. The flying obsidian one, the 2 AV mounts, and then the 2 shop mounts. And just to refresh it, the alabaster ones are part of that special bundle that has the Ragnaros statue. But since that's sold out, you'll be able to buy them for $25 in the shop. At some point in the future.
Yeah, that's a lot of mounts.
Yeah, so that's a lot of mounts for it. I'm curious when they're talking about the anniversary currency for the mounts. That makes it seem like you can usually when there's currency you can buy more than one thing. So I wonder if there's going to be more rewards that we don't know about.
Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like it's not just gonna be a mount, because we said 5 mounts, right? But it's actually 3 mounts per faction.
Right.
Obsidian Worldbreaker, which is shared among the two, and then as Alliance you have the Stormpike Battle Charger and the Alliance version of the Alabaster mount, and then the Horde has the Frostwolf Snarler and the Alabaster mount. So that means we only have 1 mount on the vendor for a potential currency. And why would they make a currency for just 1 item?
Yeah, so why wouldn't they just do like, win 10 battlegrounds, achievement unlocked, or anything?
Yeah, exactly. So this potentially going to be maybe some limited edition toys, maybe pets, maybe other kind of random things like the time walking vendors, like maybe some kind of upgrades or something for your alts. Maybe buy more XP pots. I don't know.
Right, Paul, what did you just do? He just knocked my mouse.
Oh.
See, I still have the wireless one when I do the show, so he won't eat the wire, but he can do stuff like knock it across the room.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're good again. But yeah, I think as far as toys and pets, it would be cute if they had more dragon plates as pets you could buy. And for toys, they always do something with corgis. Like they have the corgi goggles, they've given away corgis for past anniversaries. So maybe they would do, I don't know, like, Deathwing corgi would be cool. Like a little scaly corgi. That would be crazy. But yeah, it would be cool. They could also bring back, I think it would be interesting if they brought back some weird items from Classic as toys. Sorry, from Vanilla. Like, I remember there was that Zinmalor crystal that you just keep in your bags, and if you equipped it, you would start losing health and have the swirly effect around you. And I know a lot of people also thought there was some fun, weird items from Vanilla. Right, pause, stop. That, yeah, so I don't know. It might be fun to turn these into toys and have a bunch of, like, Vanilla-themed fun items. Or if you're talking AV, they could even make some weird parts of AV into toys, like people always wanted to loot the special t-shirt or loot the autographed photo. So I don't know, maybe they could make sort of enhanced or funny versions of that stuff and have it for sale, so you would have the nostalgia.
Yeah, and I think that would actually make total sense. 15 years is one of those nice number milestones. You have the 10-year anniversaries, you have the 15, 20, 25, the very pretty numbers that look good to the eye. And having Classic being released in the same year is perfect timing to make use of those very cool vanilla items that we might come across playing the Classic game, to then be some sort of toy in the retail game. I think that would make a lot of sense and would be really cool.
Yeah. Oh, this is another crazy idea. I don't think they would do it, but they were sad that people were like, the old school mounts won't be available in early Classic. Yeah. They just won't be around at all. But it would be cool if they were, I don't know, if there was sort of a tribute or nod to those items somehow. There's also tons of unused colors from Vanilla. Like there's all these extra colors of the mounts that were just not used at all. So maybe if they don't want to bring back the old school ride ones, they could bring back another version of it, unused color. Like there's like this orange unarmored lightsaber cat that is like Reigns of the Tawny Lightsaber. So I think they could use some old school models that never saw the light of day and bring those back.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Or
And that way
maybe
the
a
people that
toy.
had the mount, if the people that had the mount wouldn't be like, oh, other people got
Yeah,
the thing
that's
I did,
always a
but
problem.
yeah.
Like it would always kind of remove the prestige feeling of having something really old if you suddenly give it to everyone.
Yeah.
But something else that they could do is have a toy that makes you mount all those old ones. So it's like it's not really a mount, but it looks like you're riding them maybe. And then the exact models of the old ones, maybe that could be pretty cool too. But I
Yeah.
guess we'll see. We'll see what they
Yeah.
decide. PTR, it's happening. Oh, is it happening now?
Not exactly. They're shutting the realms down, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
closer to happening,
Okay.
but uh yeah, there's the data mining isn't starting yet, or we don't
Okay.
even know if it's a day. They're just shutting the realms down, so that's
Okay.
one step
One
closer,
step.
but
Okay. It could
yeah.
still be like tomorrow.
Yeah, we don't it could be anytime.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay. Good to know. But yeah, let's move on to the next one, which is the happy news for Alliance players. We have some further confirmation that the B mount will indeed be in the game for Alliance players with patch 8.25. We
yeah.
have a picture of it in case you happen to miss out on it. There it is. So it sounds like Alliance players will have a quest line available in Stormsong, and with completion of it, you should be able to pick up this mount.
Yeah. So we still don't know what you have to do for it.
Mm-hmm.
But we think you will have to earn friendship with this bee colony, and you move up the ranks from, a drone to a queen bee. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people thought it would be an 8.2 secret, but I guess it will be a more straightforward quest line in 8.25. And I think there's some confusion, which hopefully we'll know when the PTR goes up, as to will this be Alliance exclusive, or will it be like the Horde, Direhorn, and Kuafan, which is you have to do it on one faction, but then it counts for both.
Ooh, that's actually a very good point. It could
Yeah.
be one of those where it's still mountable on the other side, but you just can't obtain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I like how you said if the B mount will be.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
creating quite a buzz figuring out what faction it is.
Creating quite a buzz. Yes, I love it. I love it. But yeah, so that's nice to look forward to. I saw a comment in the chat saying, how is that happy news for us? Bees are terrifying.
Aw.
Well,
Some
I
people like
don't know.
bees.
I
Yeah.
mean, I find them terrifying, but I think as a mount, they look pretty cute, right? Right?
Yeah.
I had this wasp once in my room. In this room, actually. It went in here in the middle of my stream, and I was so scared. I switched off all the lights, and except the ceiling lights, so the wasp went inside my lamp, and then I trapped it there with a book. It was the most frightening thing I ever did in my life. I was so scared, and I couldn't be in this room until I had that done. I hate insects, especially wasps and bees. Actually, I think bees are a little bit nicer, right? They don't really chase you in the same way.
So like honeybees are fine, but wasps I'm scared of. Also, when
Wasps
I
are
was
awful.
little, I thought they were cool, so I tried petting one, and then it stung me, and I've hated them ever since.
Oh,
Because I was like,
oh,
oh, it's so cute and
yeah, and then it
stripey, and it was like,
stings you.
eh. So that did not go well.
Oh, yeah. I don't like insects that much. You know what's funny? Now with Luna, whenever I see an insect in the house, within 5 minutes, she's attacked it and eaten it.
Yeah, that's the day. Our cats are amazing for that. They
Right?
just,
So, like the
yeah.
other day, for example, I saw this huge daddy longlegs in my bedroom. I got so
Oh
scared, and I was
no.
like, "Wait, I have a cat!" And then I
Yes.
threw Luna inside. Not literally. I didn't actually throw her, but
Right.
I made her see it. And then the insect was dead
I
within
thought
five
no.
minutes or so. It was in
Is
her
my
tummy.
camera okay? He
Yes,
just knocked it.
your camera's fine. Looks
All
good.
right. Yeah, like that's the best part about cats. You see something and you just call for them, or you just pick them up and drop them by the insect,
Yeah.
and the cat's like, "I got you."
Yep. Sometimes it's too high up, so I carry Luna to like be able to reach it.
Oh.
It's like we're hunting together. It's adorable.
Yeah, it's a bonding experience.
Yes, it is. She gets really excited when she's in hunting mode. But yeah, we somehow went into talking about cats from talking about bees, which I guess is not too off. It's pretty natural transition.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that we knew or should be reminded of about the bee mount?
Not really. Just that it flies.
Yes,
So
it
you know,
does. It
we
would be
also
funny
think
if a
it's
bee doesn't fly.
yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't expect too much. We had a
Yeah.
boat which couldn't.
Yes, which couldn't swim. Yeah, couldn't go swim.
I wasn't
I
sure
think
what
that
word to use. Do you say swim?
I guess float. I guess float is better than swim. The boat wouldn't
I
swim.
was gonna say swim, then I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right. A ship doesn't swim. But yeah, so you
I
never
think
know.
there's some data mining was hinting that you might need the bee pet in order to do part of the quest line, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not been confirmed.
Okay, gotcha. I guess we'll
Um,
see.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing,
Mm-hmm.
sort of expected, but we didn't know until now, is that Cataclysm Time Walking is getting a raid added, and it's going to be Firelands. It makes sense that the
Cool.
raid's being added because
Mm-hmm.
we, had Black Temple, and then we had Ulduar.
Mm-hmm. I really
But
liked Firelands.
yeah, it makes sense with Ragnaros coming back,
Yes.
and it's also relevant with BFA because in the Dark Iron quest line, the
Oh.
cultists are trying to resurrect Ragnaros.
Mm-hmm.
So all that's related. I know some people are also wondering if Dragon Soul would be brought back because that's also really relevant with N'Zoth and the old gods. But
Mm-hmm.
I think like Spine of Deathwing just sounds miserable. So Firelands I think makes more sense and is fitting for the 15th anniversary.
Yeah, I feel like Firelands has a much better, just much better boss fights in general for people to get into. I feel like Spine will be hell for new people.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, Firelands has two mounts, right? One from Ragnaros and one from Elizrazor.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can work on the legendary in the raid,
Yeah,
but that would be interesting if
that would be
similar
interesting.
to Black Temple, you could do some achievement and then earn that as a permanent transmog.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I wonder if you'll be able to progress your legendary weapons then.
Yeah.
The legendary system there was quite cool actually with the staff because I remember that you could have three people progressing at the same time because there were three different items that would drop like what was it Eternal
Yeah.
Ember and then something else and then something else.
Yeah.
So you could
Hmm.
have three people progressing. That was actually really cool. But I
Yeah.
guess we'll see. Do you think this also means that we'll get some more vendor rewards?
Yeah, I think we'll get some interesting toys with the Time Warp badges, some like fiery pets or interesting uh like yeah, just a lot of fiery Ragnaros stuff. I think we'll get
Mm-hmm.
some Ragnaros puns as part of this.
Oh, and another interesting item from Firelands is it a
The Druid,
toy? Yes,
yeah, the
the
toy,
druid toy.
the Fire Cat. Oh yeah, the Fire
Yes.
Cat toy as well as the Fire Cat staff.
Yes, yes, that's a good point. Yes, the staff also had the same effect.
Yeah, and there's a
Maybe
lot of
there'll be a vendor item similar to that that has a similar effect. I'm not sure what it
well,
would
there could
be.
be, but I don't know if Druids would feel sad like, oh, we had our own Fire Cat toy and now anyone can get it. But I
Yeah.
do think there's still a lot of fiery stuff you could do
Mm-hmm.
with the instance. Muffinus also had a funny tweet being like, "Can you picture Violeth time walking with all these people pugging and trying to, move the feet left and right?"
Yes. Yes. Good point. Oh,
Yeah,
I forgot about that fight. But it wasn't as it still wasn't as punishing as Deathwing would be. Because I can imagine Spine of Deathwing, everyone had just flown off. Like
yeah. I feel
immediately.
like Spine, there's a lot of accidents that could happen
Yes.
about DPSing, but with Violeth, it's more like even if you try to coordinate, it's like it's just is really funny
Yeah.
how you're trying hard and slowly it just goes the wrong way. It's just
Yeah.
hilarious as
Yeah.
you're wiping, but Spine is just annoying.
Exactly. Yeah, like I would prefer wiping to that than just flying off the platform and be like, what just happened?
Yeah.
I
And
think
there's so
it's
many
more
cutscenes and pauses in Dragon Soul, while
yes,
Firelands
yes,
is more compact.
yes. I agree. I agree with that.
Um,
Uh
Another thing, which
mm-hmm.
is sort of expected but not confirmed until now, is that Recruit a Friend is returning,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna have like a nicer UI where you can send out game time to your friends. And I think they're expanding the program because they're saying that you get better rewards based on how much game time you send out or give to friends. And it's not just for new players, it's also like returning players. So I don't know, does that mean that if you have a friend and they're actively playing WoW, but next month they don't have a subscription, if you gift them a subscription, you get rewards? Like that would be interesting.
Wait, that's how you? Okay, I did not pick that up. You can gift subscriptions.
They're saying that by following the link, you will be able to see if they have purchased game time, resulting in rewards for you. For each month your recruits have active game time, you earn a new reward.
But
So
that's like how it always was, right? Like if I recruit someone and then if they subscribe for 3 months, then I get an amount.
right, but they don't know, they no longer say 3 months. And they also use the wording, if you have active game time, you can recruit your friends, both brand new and returning champions. So that's why, I mean, it seems vague, but it's like if you can see if like your friend has something on the battle net, if they have game time or not. And it's like, well, so are they actively playing if you can see if they have game time or not? And could you, I don't know, but I don't, it's all vague. I'm sure we'll see
Yeah,
soon
yeah.
if the PTR is up. But they didn't give specific amounts as well. So when you mention, 3 months you got something cool, they're talking about how you get rewards. You get rewards yourself, such as pets, mounts, and game time, and the rewards unlock once per month and scale with how many months your recruits have subscribed for. So it's like, if someone subscribes for 12 months, do you get like an epic mount? You have to, or is
Yeah,
it
that's
just the same,
interesting.
1 or 2 months you get something? What's the maximum cap for this?
Yes, that's an interesting one. What is the maximum cap? Because, yeah, you're right. At the moment, there's only one reward, which is after, I think it used to be 3, but then they changed it to 2 months. Months.
Yeah.
And with that, once that reward has been claimed, you can't get anything else from that one friend. But I guess
Right.
now, if that one friend happens to subscribe for a whole year, then you'll get something else.
Yeah. So I'm curious how that will work out. I know other people are talking about, like pyramid schemes or like, it's like have like a master recruiter and then people underneath them recruit and it all funnels back to one person in charge. But yeah, I'm curious what the rewards will be, if they'll just make it easier to get all the mounts and pets, or if they will be adding new things to the mix as well.
Yeah, because I'm wondering,
Um,
because I think I'm missing one reward, a pet. So for people like me who have recruited a lot of people, does that mean that we won't be affected because we already have everything? Or does it mean that there's going to be even more rewards? And if that's the case, will it be easier for people to get multiple rewards, recruiting only a couple of friends? Because realistically, people don't recruit 10 friends just like that. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, they also said, like you'll earn rewards such as game time. So it's
Yeah,
like, if you have everything, do you just get free game time if you have all the mounts and pets already? That would be interesting.
that is interesting.
Yeah. So the final thing we learned from these notes, which was sort of out of the blue, but I think really cool, is that there's a party sync and some social features that we didn't
Yeah, this was
know
interesting.
anything about. So yeah, so party sync is basically a mode where everyone in the party sees the same outdoor zone quest state. So for example, if you're questing in Hyjal and like you've done the whole quest line and Hyjal is pretty and not on fire, but your friends are new and Hyjal is still burning, you can sync to that same phase where you see Hyjal in the pre-restored state. And then you can also see the phase everyone is at, so you can understand like how far along they are on the story as well. And even they're saying that you could replay quest, which I'm curious how will play out, because they're saying that if you complete certain quests, you can go back and do them with your friends, and then you get rewards that are appropriate to your current level. So I hope there's no weird exceptions out there where some level 60 item scaled up to level
Yeah.
120 gives you amazing rewards. But I think that's a good concept because if you want to, especially like if you RP, if you want to experience the story with your friends, you can't really do so. But now you can go back and just replay things for fun, or maybe you miss some details and you want to see it again. Now you can go back and hear that dialogue again and appreciate it more.
Because I know a lot of times you play with a friend and you're questing together, you're following your friend doing their quests, and then suddenly you're faced from each other. And
Yeah.
that can be really frustrating. And not just frustrating, but also just breaking the immersion. So having this possibility to sync up as a party to the same quest, even if you don't get any rewards, that in itself would feel rewarding. I feel like
Yeah.
that's actually really, really nice. So if you're going to be earning rewards as well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Another thing is relaxing level restrictions on queuing for instant content with friends. This means that if you have a lower level player that's a friend, they can queue up and you can do the content with them. You will be scaled down, similar to time walking, but unlike time walking, you won't have abilities or things like Azurite that is something you wouldn't have at the lower level.
Mm-hmm.
And they will be testing that really shortly on the PTR, and it will be available for PvP instances as well as things like dungeons.
It's like PGs, basically?
I think so. They just said PvP instances.
Okay.
So I think what else? I mean, skirmishes. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that could be.
I guess we'll see. It sounds like it's probably BGs. And dungeons too, like at the moment, you have certain brackets of levels. So when I have leveled on stream, for example, I always ask people to be between two different, like, I don't know, maybe from 60 to 80 to make sure that we queue into the same instance. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And I guess now, even if you're, let's say, 95, you could still join, but you would just be pulled down to level 80 or whatever the max is for that range. I think that could be pretty nice and convenient.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's quite nice of Blizzard to implement for us.
Yeah, and it ties in nicely with Recruiter Friend, and if the level or stat squish is happening, it should also be interesting if I don't know, it's like, oh, your friends aren't that far apart in levels after that squish occurs. So we'll see, but I think it's a good step, good to introduce with Recruiter Friend, and I think also really useful with the 15th anniversary, because there's always a nostalgia bump when there is an anniversary. A lot of old-time players return, and it is really overwhelming if you've taken a break from a few years from the game. So having these social features maybe could encourage players to stick with it more.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So that's everything we learned. This next part maybe is a little... I thought we'd have more to talk about, but maybe we won't. When could 825 be coming? We weren't sure when the PTR was coming. There was some speculation that it was going to be this past Tuesday based on some tweets, and now with the PTR shutdown, it could be tonight. But I still think it's interesting to discuss that the anniversary is taking place in November. And that means that it has to be live by November. And then that gets me thinking of when could 8.3 be? Because, I don't know, now I'm thinking that they could announce the expansion at BlizzCon and be like, whoa, how do we get to the Black Empire? Well, let's talk about 8.3, and 8.3 would be would be a lot of BlizzCon news as well.
Yeah, I could imagine that. I think that sounds like very fitting timeline-wise. So 8.25 is live. We talk about 8.3, build the hype. Yeah, I think that could make sense for BlizzCon.
Yeah, it could also be interesting if there were demo stations, so you could play the event together at BlizzCon. So, you could queue up and play the AV, and if you win the AV at the demo station, you get a special anniversary pin or something like that. So we will see. But I think that could be the plan. And yeah, just 8.3 is very interesting because usually we know what the 0.3 patch is before the expansion's revealed, but if we're assuming we're getting an expansion at BlizzCon and 8.25 is just happening in August, there's really not much time. So that's why I think they'll sort of go the Gamescom route when they announce Legion and tease very light details about the expansion. And then most of the BlizzCon presentation will be on 8.3, and then we'll get like the really nitty gritty on the expansion in a few months after BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see. But yeah, just a few more things on the PTR, which if the realms are down, maybe is less speculation than we thought. But there was an encrypted vendor build last week, and usually when there's a build like that, it means that the actual PTR is coming a week or two after that, and it looks like we're right on track for that. And
so when was this encrypted vendor build found?
It was 8 days ago.
Okay.
And
so it's just about perfect timing then.
Yeah, and with 8.2, the similar build hit on April 4th, and then Blizzard dropped their like content notes on April 11th, and then the first build was on the 17th. So, you know, with 8.2.5, we had this build drop on the 24th, and then the 29th we got the notes, and now on the 1st we could be getting a PTR, or who knows, maybe the realms will be shut down for the next week. Who, you know, it's hard to say, but it's you know, you need the realm shut down for the PTR to happen.
Exactly.
So we're a step closer at least.
Exactly. And you mentioned the 1st again, which makes me realize again that we're in August. It's absolutely crazy.
I know.
Just random
so final
comment.
thing, the final thing about the PTR, unless the build hits in the middle of the show, is there is this weird secret that also popped up called Solessa Naxu, and it's this mystery kind of pointing to a hidden phased area in Najatar, some sort of female Naga based on the icon and the boss name. And people were saying that if you put it through an anagram solver, you get the phrase "a snake's soul," which could be related to like Naga and Heart of Azeroth. And anagrams were used in the Waste of Time puzzle earlier in BFA, so a lot of people are hungry for the secret and are hoping it's related. And we don't know too much more about this because it's all encrypted. And this popped up the same day as that mystery PTR build, so a lot of people are thinking that, you know, maybe this NPC is like a secret that's gonna, I don't know, tie 8.2 to the stuff that comes next, or you know, like there's something interesting going on with this NPC, or Blizzard's trying out some new tech where they can, you know, hide one part of the zone until they want to show it, because Solessa Naxu is also the name of a zone in addition to an NPC. So yeah, all very interesting. If there is a PTR later on today, we will update the post if we know more, but for right now, doesn't seem like we have anything going on besides just the realms down. And yeah, also interesting, like just what's missing from these notes. As you mentioned, they're development notes. They're not, you know, patch notes that go into detail. So there's no real class changes or essence notes. There's no mention of things like allied races. There's no mention of any raids or dungeons coming. I know a lot of people thought that maybe there would be a small raid similar to Trial of Valor.
Do you think there'll be a small raid?
Well,
because we recently had Crucible too.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing about the war campaign continuing or Sylvanas, and I was sure that the campaign would escalate and culminate in some mini raid, either where she's, you know, burning Thunder Bluff, or we're attacking Orgrimmar. I thought for sure that she would be part of that, but there's not. Right, pause, stop. So those two things are sort of surprising and go hand in hand, unless maybe Blizzard wants to reveal the generic updates now, like, oh look, Worgen and Goblin, like, look, check out this new party UI, and save the juicy story stuff for after WoW Classic launches, so it doesn't get buried in the hype.
Yeah, together with all the war campaign stuff. Yeah, maybe if they would mention raids, any information on it would spoil the war campaign as well.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's also with, you know, it's August, it's WoW Classic month. Maybe they don't want people to have their attention diverted between, you know, sort out your character names on the 13th. No, actually, like, care about what's happening with Sylvanas. So I think in the past they've done something similar where before the holidays they would tease stuff like allied races in the data, and then there would be no PTR updates for a few weeks. and then they'd come back and release more stuff. So maybe they want to do a big drop of content now and then be more chill for a few weeks with WoW Classic, and then release the story stuff later in the PTR. But we'll see.
We'll
it's just
see.
speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to give you guys an idea of how far BlizzCon is the beginning of November, so that gives us a 3-month time frame of when 8.25.
Yeah, August, September, October. So less than 100 days, because BlizzCon is basically Halloween. So
true.
yeah.
So
I'm like all about those Halloween counters. So I'm like, oh, that's also a BlizzCon counter.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're getting closer. I need to start planning my trip there. But yeah, so that could give you an idea of how much time we actually do have until BlizzCon. But yeah, we're probably going to be seeing 8.25 in time for that.
Yeah. Before we move on to non-PTR stuff, a reminder, we have a giveaway going on for 30 days of game time. The keyword is reload, and we have a new subscriber, Nichi Pichu.
Yes, we have Nikki Peacher, who is from my community, actually. Welcome, and thank you for supporting Wowhead as well. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, reload in the chat to enter the raffle to win 30 days of game time.
Yep.
And the winner will be drawn at the end of the stream, at the end of the show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
we briefly mentioned the World First race during the intro. The World First race is officially over. It's been very, very exciting. We had a lot more streams to follow this time. I believe it was Limit's first time streaming, correct?
I think they did it for Crucible, but Crucible was such a low-key race.
Yes, you're right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was the first, large raid that many guilds were streaming for.
It was very, very exciting, and the race went on for 2 weeks almost, was it? And the winner was Method. So congratulations, Method, on World First, and congratulations, Limit, to World Second. It was a very, very close race all along. It was very, very exciting.
It's also interesting that the 3rd and 4th places are Alpha, a Chinese guild, and AFKR in the Korean region. So we've got all 4 regions represented.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's the Asian guilds. They have a big time delay, even more than EU has over NA. So it's impressive that those guilds, beat out all the other US and EU guilds, even with the time disadvantage.
Wait, when did they get the patch then?
I think 2 days after everyone.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, I think it was cool. I think they use different streaming platforms, but it was cool how the events tried to incorporate their footage into it this year. A lot of people watching from the West aren't as aware of those streams from Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so a lot more people were streaming this time. Did you have any favorite moments or things you think were particularly interesting about the race this time? Because I had a lot of fun watching it.
I had a lot of fun watching as well. Obviously, when you're streaming yourself, you can't watch all of it, but I would tune in. And one of the greatest things, honestly, was the fact that there were multiple streams. So if there was some kind of low time in one of them because they had a break or whatever, then you can watch the other one. If one stream is ending for the day, you can watch the next one. If the other one is going to sleep, you can watch the next one. It was great. It felt like a sort of 24-hour event, which was really nice. And it was going on for, like we said, over a week as well. So having that freedom of being able to, swap channels if something was less interesting was great.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can pick a specific favorite moment, but the whole thing overall felt awesome.
Yeah, so some moments that I really liked is just special shout out to our balance writer Tettles, who we've had on the show before, and he doesn't understand lore at all. It just flies out of his head.
Yeah.
I think we were quizzing him about this, but they made him on the Method stream watch and react to all the expansion cinematics, which was hilarious.
Oh no, I missed that. I could imagine that being really funny though.
I liked how on the Red Bulls. Yeah, I liked how on the Red Bull stream they had the little like boss intros that the developers gave insights on. I thought
Mm.
that added some value, and usually Blizzard doesn't have the time to do little stuff like that, so I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was cool that Blizzard made a little bit of an effort. Oh yeah, that was huge too. Blizzard actually, it might look like a simple article, but Blizzard actually made a post about the world first race and linked to all their participating streams. They've
And
never done that before.
something else which I noticed, I'm not sure if that's only in EU, but we had a link in our launcher to the World First Race.
Oh, like
Did you
going
not
to the
have that?
article page?
No,
I can't.
it went straight to multi Twitch with Method and Red Bull streams.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't think I feel like US the launcher space is more prime time, so they don't feature as many streams there. But that's very cool that the launcher was highlighting both events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was awesome to see that because that's something that is also a good thing with having more guilds streaming because I think for Blizzard as a company, I think it's hard for them to feature something like that if let's say only Method was streaming. But now that we had Red Bull as well, it becomes a little bit more neutral from Blizzard's side to be able to host that in a sense. So their link basically went to a multi Twitch link with both the streams. We have somebody in
Yeah.
the chat who actually confirms that they are US and they saw it in their launcher.
Oh, that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Um, but yeah, it was of course really fun to watch, especially when, the guilds have these super close wipes.
Yes.
And everyone gets super hype in chat.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, see the progression going on. So that was cool. What I think could be improved in the future is I think it'll be interesting. I mean, there's so many complications, but if people could start at the same time, I think that would be interesting, especially because
Yes,
Blizzard made
I
some pretty
agree.
drastic hot fixes,
Yeah.
and they were made at times that at points favored one guild over another. So, for example, if you're spending the whole day, um, like
Wiping.
wiping to something, and then Blizzard hot fixes it as you're about to go to sleep, you sort of feel like you've
Wasted the
wasted your
day.
whole
Yeah.
day. While someone that knows when it's coming, if you're starting later and the hot fix is at the start, then you have the whole day to progress with the new strategy.
Yeah.
But I guess if you are not rating right when it starts, then you can go back and watch the other guild and catch up quicker. So I just think that in this, like the fairness of competition, if everyone started at the same time,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be this, psychological fake out of like, oh, is it better to, when is the ideal time for the
Yeah.
hot fix to hit? And then people
Yeah.
get different advantages and disadvantages from it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I also thought it was really cool how Method and Limit had very different compositions. So they're both streaming, but people couldn't really cry that they were, stealing every part of each other's strategy.
Mhm.
Method was two healing it, which a lot of people thought
Yeah.
was ridiculous and not possible, but they
Mhm.
pulled it off.
Mhm.
And they actually had a lot of melee. And usually everyone's like, oh, melee aren't taking and stuff, but they had kind of a unconventional comp, and Limit had more healers and more of a traditional range composition with tons of warlocks and mages. So
Mhm.
I thought that was interesting to see how they killed it within 24 hours of each other using pretty
Slightly
different
different.
strategies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like they
I
were
think
really
that is awesome
committed.
to see. Mhm.
Limit wasn't like, oh, Method woke up and they've been, having two healers. We're going to, cut a healer. They were just like, we have like very strong ideas as to our strategy working, and we're just going to stick with
We're
that
gonna say,
and
yeah.
not be swayed by the competition. So I thought
Mhm.
that was cool.
Mhm. On that last day when the kills happened, was there some kind of hotfix nerf that went on, or was it just both guilds simply had enough practice?
I think Friday was they did a bunch of hot fixes on Thursday, and I think Friday morning at 10 a.m. was the final hot fix that made things easier. And I think like Method, I think
Was
after the
Friday
hot fix,
when Method got it? I don't know which day
uh,
was what.
Method got it on. It wasn't Friday. It was over the weekend. Method got it very early Sunday morning.
Okay.
Um,
And the final
but I think
hotfix was Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like before it was a wall, you couldn't get past the ads really, and then they made it longer time before the ads enraged, and then
Oh yeah, I
they
heard about
made
that
some
one.
other
From 2
tweaks to
to
it.
3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made some other changes as well with the fight
Mm-hmm.
to help people in the later phases, and Yeah, I think at that point, method strategy favored the hot fixes better, or they adjusted their strategy better to it. And then even though Limit had been ahead for a while with more pulls on it because they got Zakul a lot faster than Method,
Mm-hmm.
Method I think on Friday pulled ahead with a lower wipe in the 20% range,
Mm-hmm.
and they were then able to sort of pull ahead and spend more time getting past like a hurdle at 15% and 5%.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were always sort of like 10, like when each guild finished for the night over the weekend, Method was always like 10% ahead. And I think Limit knew they were close because Limit decided, I think Saturday night, that they were going to stay up the entire night until
Mm.
they had killed it.
Mm-hmm.
But then of course everyone was like, hey, we're like exhausted and we're wiping
Yeah,
early, so they
of
called it.
course. Yeah.
But that's basically what happened. Limit was getting pretty close, like 11%, I think, like 11 or 12% wipes,
Mm-hmm.
and then they called it super late their time, and then Method did wake up while Limit was sleeping and got the kill.
Yeah.
But like with it was interesting having them staggered, even though I've said it's made issues for competition, because you could literally turn on and there always be replays of something
Yeah.
or people commentating on what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought, I mean, it was a 24-hour event, and even if both
Exactly.
guilds weren't
Mm-hmm.
raiding, you had the Asian guilds also progressing
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah, no, I think it was awesome, and I agree with the whole thing of Blizzard should probably do something to make both the games launch at the same time. Obviously, there still be a little difference in terms of hot fixes benefiting certain guild depending on
Right,
if they
and
were sleeping or
sleep
not sleeping.
schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at least that first day won't be counted because a lot of people go on and say like, oh, like and they got one extra day and it didn't matter, omega lol. Well, it's a little bit unfair to say that when a lot of times it doesn't really matter because when hot fixes happen, it happens to both at the same time. It's not like Limit gets hot fixes a day before. So
Right.
it's if they could just make it the same day, I think it would feel more fair in the broader
Yeah.
aspect of things.
Yeah, it was also nice how Blizzard. There were still some issues, but it was nice how Blizzard shared some of the hot fixes in advance to the fight. So, for example, on Thursday night, they said, at Friday at some point, these changes will happen. Now, there were
That's
still
really good. Mm-hmm.
contentious issues because the hot fixes went live at 11 a.m. U.S. time, and Limit. They were in London, but they were more on a U.S. schedule, and 11 a.m. US time is like 8 p.m. Germany time, so that was the end, getting towards the end of Method's day.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the psychological, like what was Method meant to do, like not raid for the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, if they had
That's a
everyone to like
good
the same
point. If they
that'd
know
be
a hot
better.
fix is coming, what are they supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like just sit and
Yeah.
wait for it? Like,
Yeah.
okay, boys, we just woke up, but why don't we sleep for another 8 hours and come back later?
Right.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward. I mean, I guess what you could do then is since you know that's happening, and if you don't believe it's gonna be killed immediately, you could just be spamming Mythic Plus instead of raiding. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not ideal for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so we had a lot of fun covering the world first race. Wowhead is a sponsor of Method for their 2019 events, and we've done graphics for Red Bull before. So we provided the little raid infographics for Red Bull, which I think you saw on the stream and their social media. So yeah, we were happy to cover both events, help out with them. Analyze kills from both streams on
Mm-hmm.
Wowhead. We had both streams on the front page too. So yeah,
That's
we're just
awesome.
happy that WoW got more publicity and
Yeah.
is growing, and people seem to really like it and tuned in.
Mm-hmm. I think it's awesome. Hopefully, it just keeps growing.
Yeah. So for a different change of pace, a blast from the past.
Yes.
Uh, yeah. Blizzard no longer manufactures the physical authenticators.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and this came up because people realized that the support article was updated not to mention them, and the gear shop was 404ing.
Mm-hmm.
And Blizzard finally confirmed that they don't manufacture them. So a lot of people were nostalgic and sad because it was an alternative to having to install an application on your phone.
Yep.
And they were really big a decade ago, and there were so many designs, so a lot of people are all nostalgic now for them.
Yeah.
Like they would do one for every BlizzCon for a while. They had a StarCraft one, a Diablo one, a
Mm-hmm.
Worgen and a Goblin one. Now that we're mentioning that, with 825,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a Deathwing one, and yeah, I guess you can still use them, but if they ever break for some strange
Mm-hmm.
reason,
Then it's gone.
you've got to use the phone app. So
Yeah. It's funny because
um,
I have one somewhere in the house. I don't know when the last time I saw it was, but I got it back in around Wrath of the Lich King time. So yeah, I guess about a
yeah,
decade ago. And I never cared about it and I thought it was annoying until now when they say that they're no longer selling them. Then I'm suddenly sad. Then I'm like, oh, I need to find it. I hope I didn't throw it. I don't think I would throw it, but I don't know. What if it's in my old room at my parents, and then my mom ended up throwing it? Like who
oh
knows?
no,
I'm sure
they're
it's
gonna see them on
somewhere.
eBay now. It's gonna be like, oh, like super
Yeah.
rare, like collector's key fob, and just weird as a charm.
Unobtainable authenticators for World of Warcraft, guys. Here it is.
Exactly. Like, collect them all, no
Collect them
longer
all,
obtainable.
yes. All the different colors or different designs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just sort of like a fun bit of news that I didn't think would hit me as hard, but it just makes you think about the passing of time, like you still think, oh yeah, like all this WoW stuff, and you're like, oh my God, I haven't used this for a while, and like,
Mm-hmm.
it just feels a little dated. You start realizing that a lot of time has passed, and then it hits you and you're like, oh wow, technology moved on.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting or
It's actually
sad.
kind of crazy that so much time has passed by. I remember when
Yeah.
there was a comment about how they were sold a decade ago, and I was like, oh, I guess that was the beginning of the selling, because surely it wasn't a decade ago since I got it. And then I was like, wait,
Yeah, that was their heyday.
Wrath of the Lich King was
Yeah.
basically a decade ago. It's insane.
Yep. Um,
But yeah, so I guess that forces people who want to use authenticators to use their phones to
yeah. I mean,
authenticate.
you can still use it. It's just you can't get a
You
new one,
can't
or
get a
if you
new
think
one. Yeah,
it's
that's true.
if you crush your physical authenticator, you
Mm-hmm.
are stuck using your phone.
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, so a bit of old news that we didn't cover before because it was during our break, is that Blizzard co-founder Frank Pierce is leaving the company.
Yeah.
He wasn't as high profile as Mike Morhaime, but he did, co-found the company over 28 years ago when it was Silicon and Synapse, and he was sort of, a quieter person, more behind the scenes, but still very, instrumental in shaping Blizzard and having it hold true to his values. Based on his goodbye message, it seems that he just wants to retire and just take it easier. He said, I have worked very hard and very passionately for a very long time. Now it is time for me to reflect and be thoughtful about what comes next. I want to spend more time active in the outdoors. I'd like to learn how to play an instrument. I hope to devote
Aw.
more time to aspects of my life that may not have gotten as much attention in the past. One thing is for certain, I will continue to be part of a Blizzard family.
Mm-hmm. It
So,
always has to
yeah,
sound so sad.
I
Like,
know.
why does it always have to be so sad? Because,
Yeah, it
like,
definitely sounds like he wants to retire though, versus being like, "Oh, I'm
yeah,
going to Riot," or "I'm, going to Rival Game Studio."
it does sound like it. Like, especially mentioning learning an instrument.
Yeah. I also feel like a lot of people are like, "Oh, conspiracy theory, everyone is leaving Blizzard," but, when you're the co-founder of a company, like 28 years in a very high profile, high stress position is a really long time.
Yeah, the game
So,
has just
it makes
existed for
sense.
so long.
Yeah, it makes sense why he, want to take an early retirement or try other things or step back into more of an advisory role.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it also seems that based on the messaging that he wanted to stagger it, like Jay Allen Brack was saying that when he moved into his new position last year, Frank was working in an advisory role to help with the transition. So it seems like Blizzard tried to be organized so they wouldn't have, a lot of senior people leaving at the same time. That
Mm,
maybe Frank Pierce was in the advisory role to help the transition be smoother.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sad, of course, but we're not as old as the founders of Blizzard Entertainment. And it's like, if you are starting to get, your 50s and you're managing this large company, it's like, yeah, you might want to actually, not always be working overtime, or, reconnect with some of your own hobbies and, put yourself first and take care of yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, just thinking of that, like the company is like over 28 years old.
That's
And it's like
crazy.
a lot of people that play WoW are like just getting to their late 20s. That's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, it's just, just keep that in mind. Like, maybe I think with maturity and when you have a job at a senior level for so long, you like view the world differently.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, someone being like, "Oh my God, my first job is to work at Blizzard. I want to do it forever and ever." But
And
yeah,
maybe he is technically doing it forever and ever. He may not be picking up
yeah.
another job. Maybe this is his retirement. I guess we'll
Yeah, he
see.
said that he'd be part of the Blizzard family still. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
like when you have to be in a position where, millions of people's lives are affected by what you do and your company has so many employees, that's a lot of responsibility, especially if you have to go along with things like, the layoffs from earlier in the year. It's not all glamorous. Like when something crappy happens, that reflects back on you, even if you personally didn't
Mm-hmm.
agree with it. Like when you are in the leadership role, if something great doesn't happen, you need to accept responsibility on behalf of your team.
Yeah.
You can't just point the fingers. Like everything goes back to you. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but yeah. So, um, just before we do our last call for the giveaway, I just wanted to highlight some stuff that you can do this week. We're
Some
still doing our
live
today and
news.
yeah, we're
Mm-hmm.
still doing our today in WoW post for Najatar and Mechagon, but there are some other things you might want to do, such as Eternal Palace Wing to LFR. You need minimum item level 380.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then also the World Quest bonus event is here for the first time since 8.2 started.
Yes.
So it's a nice boost if you want to, get your flying or make faster progress towards your Paragon cache, which has like essences and mounts and all sorts of fun stuff inside it.
Mm-hmm. And in terms
Um,
of these of the World Quest bonus event, in Rustbolt, or sorry, in Mechagon, for the Rustbolt resistance reputation, you have to keep in mind that there's actually only one world quest over there. The rest of them are
it's a big one.
daily. It is a very big one. The daily quests that you pick up, I think, are not affected by this reputation buff, but the world quest is, and the world quest itself gives a lot of reputation even without the 50% buff. So even if you feel like you don't want to do dailies, I would recommend to do that one world quest. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually a quest to open 6 chests or
Yeah.
kill 3 rares. I think for me today it was to kill 3 rares. It's something that I would recommend you to do, especially if you're working on the reputation for alts. So I log my
Yeah.
druid and my paladin only to do that one quest to get the 8-900 reputation. And now with the extra percentage bonus, I'm getting like 1,300 reputation. It's great.
Yeah. But
So
yeah, so
that's
with
just a
that,
recommendation.
yeah. Before we talk about some quick things WoW has been doing on Classic, last call for our giveaway, 30 days of game time and keyword reload. And Annie, if you want to read out the new subs.
Yes, we have a 2-month resub from page or web page not found. Thank you very much for resubbing. We also have 17 months in a row from Tenno20. Thank you very much, Tenno, another guy from my community. And we have Mr. Gucci, also from my community, gifting a sub to Hans Zach. Well, there you go. Now Zach is also able to use all emotes. And Mr. Gucci, thank you for supporting Wowhead.
Yeah. So, as we've mentioned, we're now in August, and Classic
Yes.
WoW is coming on the 27th. And we've been busy with 8.2, but we've been doing some classic features that we think you guys will really enjoy, especially as Classic gets nearer.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing we made is we added the content phase filters to Wowhead item database, as well as every item page. And we've based these on Ian's tweet about every 2 patches being the equivalent to a content phase. So there are some things that may surprise you in here. Like I was surprised when I was doing the research, but Ian has not said anything otherwise about exceptions. So we tried to have everything be very, strict. Like a lot of molten core loot was added in phase 2 and phase 3. If you go by Ian's logic that patch 1.5 is phase 3, so we're like, okay, well, I guess it's phase 3 now. Or Cenarian Circle loot, a lot of the loot was split up between phases 4, 5, and 6. They were staggered across patches, so we've tried to replicate things as faithfully as possible. Of course, we would love it if someone, like Ian or Warcraft devs made a post on the loot that are the exceptions to the patch content conversion rule, but we've tried to be as faithful as possible. And also, we didn't just do loot, we tried to include things like consumables or the class books or things like enchants. So, you don't think that you have this awesome enchant, but then it's actually from, phase 6.
Yeah. I also
yeah,
showed a quick
effort.
screenshot of how it will look like. You can see the drop down menu there, and then you can pick, for example, added in content phase, I think it says. Yeah, phase.
Yeah.
And then you can choose the number of which phase you're interested in.
Yeah, and you can mix and match that with other stuff. So if you can add that, but then you can add other queries like I want items in phase 5, and I also want to specify that I only want to see the epic items, or I want to see all the nature resistance items in phase 5 or later. So you it's not just typing in the number. You can set that equal sign to equals or like greater n equals 2.
So like before certain patch or after certain patch.
Right. So if you're like, I want to see like all the nature resistance gear that I can get in phase 6, you could say that you want to see you could set that so it doesn't just show 6. It's like I want to see stuff added in phase 6 or lesser than phase 6.
So it's basically having an additional filter. It doesn't take over anything. It's additional filter. So it's a very convenient, very nice idea.
Yeah. So and this is affecting lots of parts of the site. So for example, we made this gear picker tool, and now that we have the phases sorted out, you can soon, select gear on other tools across the site by filtering when it was added in a phase. We also added a bunch of recipes too. So, for example, the special AQ chimeric chops that's marked as phase 5. Elixir of greater firepower is added phase 5. There's a lot of things that you just assume were always like, if your memory is sort of not sharp, you might be like, oh yeah, that's in vanilla, but it's like, well, did you know that the major rejuvenation potion was added in patch 1.3 or 4? So that's likely phase 2. That's not available at the start. So, maybe that affects how you will be planning things. If, a healing potion is not available, or, some, like the Robe of Volatile Power, a lot of casters like that, but that was added in what would be phase 3 unless Blizzard says otherwise. So we'll see if there's any changes, but yeah, I would love if Blizzard could correct stuff, because a lot of people were pestering Wowhead to add this. I'm like, well, I don't know everything, and if I say the wrong thing, everyone will be upset with us. But it was getting to the point where people were saying that the convenience would outweigh a few things being off. So, we're just going by the standard patch to content conversion, and you can back it up on things like wikis like WoWWiki or Wowpedia all say the same added in patch date, so a lot of people are already under the assumption that things are coming in a certain phase.
And as the game becomes live, it will become more and more accurate. So when you're actually playing, when the current patch is on, it'll be 100% accurate. It's just for now, it's a little bit of
and we can update these easily. Like if Blizzard makes a tweet being like, oh, actually all molten core loot is phase 1, we can update the site really quickly, have everything fixed within 10 minutes.
Nice. That's awesome. So, great programming.
But also a quick note, we are highlighting guides basically every day on Wowhead now for Classic WoW, either a profession guide or a dungeon guide or a class guide. So definitely check those out. The goal is to have as many guides as Battle for Azeroth does. And if you check out our navigation at the top of any page, you'll see that it got a update last week. So there's, a whole classes section now. Dungeon and raids, all dungeon guides are up. Like a leveling menu, a profession leveling menu, even some reputations, and then a systems menu that's like what's stats, like what's a debuff, stuff like that. So we're making really good progress. I think we have guides up for all the major specs now, but we are wanting to develop it further and have, we're getting some PvP intro pages up and some macro pages up in the next week or so.
That's nice to know, so people can look out for those.
Yep.
And
then, wait, are we meant to call out the winner? I don't see the winner in the notes. Okay.
I wrote that. So we have Eliera, who has been announced as the winner, and you need to respond to SAS to claim the prize. And I think it's best that we call it out in case people are kind of just, tabbing and just listening to us, which makes total sense. So in case you're out there, if you type something in the chat or whisper directly to SAS, you can claim your 30 days of game time. And if you don't, SAS will roll it again to find a new winner.
Yeah. Our final feature, which is still a work in progress, but we soft launched it. So Maya will talk about it. We've got lots of great feedback, is we finally launched our gear planner, which is like the dressing room, but the focus is on sharing stats and having a stat breakdown. So the dressing room is about the models, while the gear planner is about, sharing your setups and linking it to others so you can, see if the stats are correct. Being like, hey, this is like my shatter resistance set, this is how much I get, or like this is my defense set. And it works at all levels, not just 60. You can add all your items, and we have a new designer on it. We think it looks really nice and shiny. And we've gotten lots of feedback to add other things like enchants and better filters, like the dressing room has filters. So we actually added all that stuff this past week, and we still have a few more things to go. Like when you create the set, the URL basically saves the set, but a lot of people don't realize that. So we're making a more obvious saving system that doesn't really add any new functionality, but it just makes it super obvious that you can save the set.
Like here, copy link to this set.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool feature, and we're spending a lot of time improving it because we got so many messages when we launched it from people saying that they really liked it, but they wish you could do more stuff. So we're, trying to add this as
That's
fast
awesome.
as we can.
That is awesome. And we also have a winner who has responded, 10/20. Congratulations on your game time. And he was actually the same guy who also resubbed for 17 months in a row. So that's awesome. Enjoy your game time.
So I think that about wraps up the show, which is good because I think Stephen is like talking about some data mining stuff, but I'm not sure if it actually has gone through. I'm not exactly looking at a work chat. Just catching up on stuff now. One sec. Did the build go through? Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know if there is something yet. I'm just seeing all this weird code chat. But yeah, no one is giving me anything to post yet, so we can keep going on the questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Aegis said, what is your opinion on the Obsidian Worldbreaker mount? I think Deathwing lost his image as the big evil guy. So what do you think? Do you like it? Do you think it should be something else?
I mean, I personally love it just because I think the model looks awesome. So I don't put that much thought into him losing his image. I mean, I think Deathwing still looks badass. Like he's still a huge boss. Like there's 2 boss fights just for him. One versus his spine, and then one where we actually, actually interacting with his face. So I think it still feels cool to me. But how does it feel for you, Perk, since you're a lot more into all the lore?
So I think that Cataclysm, so if this is like celebrating nostalgia, people that were super attached to early WoW have this very, very visceral, sad feeling to the Cataclysm because it destroyed so many zones, and Deathwing was the character behind destroying all those zones. So I think to a lot of players that this event is targeted towards, like, it's very fresh that, you know, Deathwing was the character that messed everything up. And
Yeah.
I think that if you do care about lore in BFA, you'll also be curious about Deathwing because, you know, with the Shara, we finally have heard N'Zoth, and N'Zoth is definitely a presence in the expansion. And N'Zoth was also behind the corruption of Deathwing, and Deathwing was meant to usher in one of N'Zoth's earlier plans, the Hour of Twilight, which we stopped, and now N'Zoth is trying a different, more subtle plan. So I think it works on one level that Deathwing like is like a, you know, it's a tribute to how insane he was in Cataclysm, but it also works on a more subtle level that a reminder that Deathwing is tied in with the important character in the BFA story.
Do you think that Deathwing has lost his image as the big evil guy?
I don't think so. I mean, it's different. Like, I feel like he was more mysterious. I mean, like, it's not like you know, Arthas, where it's this character that's a human. I think it's harder to relate to a dragon. But
yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, I think he's still there. And you know, when you go to Cataclysm and you see all the zones messed up, then you're like, oh, Deathwing did all that. So I think that he elicits this very angry, sad emotion. And you know, when you think about past bosses, you're just like, oh man, that boss kill was difficult, but you don't think like, wow, that boss did something and I'm so angry that he did that. But you feel that with Deathwing.
Yeah, like I feel, you know, with having 2 boss fights dedicated to him in the same raid, and then also what happened out in the zones. A lot of zones changed because of Deathwing, and on top of that, there was the special event as well with the zone going under fire and everyone just dies. So I feel like Deathwing is pretty special in that sense.
Yeah, plus the mount's cool.
Mount is cool.
Yeah.
It is.
If anything, I'd say that like Nefarian is the one getting the cutesy treatment with the little Nefarian pet. So yeah. We also have 2 questions from Jamel 1991. One is, when is the anniversary? And also, any update on the continuation of the Worgen questline? So the anniversary is in November, which coincides with the actual anniversary of the game. And I believe the content update notes specifically talk about this. Let me pull it up quickly where it says this. This November marks the 15th anniversary of World of Warcraft, and we have some special things planned to celebrate the occasion. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's November. And then as for the Worgen questline, that's puzzling. Like, at the start of the show, we were curious why the notes didn't mention any quests that were coming, if that meant that they were being delayed until 8.3, or if they were being hidden because that would like reveal spoilers. I mean, I think it definitely needs to continue, especially if there's a lot of hints that 8.3 will be a Sylvanas centric patch. You know, we got Jaina, 8.1, and Nashara. So, you know, Worgen is investigating why she's war chief, and I think it would make sense for his story to continue.
Definitely.
Whenever Blizzard decides to pick up the story, like I really have this hunch that 825 is not going to have any major story stuff. Like, I really think it's just going to be these
come suddenly on 8.3.
Yeah, I think that Blizzard is not going to want to reveal the plot twist of BFA or what happens in the final act until BlizzCon. And I think that we're going to get all these really strong system upgrades, like, you know, party sync and recruit a friend, and the character model updates. Oh, apparently the patch is here.
Really?
Yeah, I think Stefan just called. But yeah, I guess we'll see. But I think that 825 will be more about just like long-term benefits for the game.
If there's any progression or continuation on the war campaign, would that now be visible in the PTR?
If there's the broadcast text, there could be some data mined lines, but you know, or Blizzard, they could hide it as well. We never know. Okay. But I guess we'll see. But I feel like they deliberately did not talk about any story stuff in this, and they really hyped up the story angle in the 8.2 thing where they, Bane in chains. Like that was a big part of the initial reveal, and there's nothing similar in these notes.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see the continuation of the whole Sylvanas story. We had Worgen comment on that. We had Lich King commenting. We had a bunch of different characters commenting on how ruthless Sylvanas is and how they're not on her side. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah. So on that note, I should probably head off because I think we're gonna try to be streaming the data mining. It might be hilarious and bad, but it might be cool to be like, oh, as we're writing the post, like you get to see Stefan, dance around with this Worgen for 5 minutes earlier. So I should go.
Is Stefan gonna be the streamer?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be streaming on Wowhead, and we're gonna have like weird code flashing in the background, and we might even stream our like voice comm because we have really funny reactions because we're the first to see stuff, so we're oh
my god, look at this.
People like reactions. We might do that.
Yeah, that's great. And in that case, maybe we won't host anyone. We'll just continue letting you guys stay here for the the live data mining process. How about that? On Wowhead's Twitch channel. For the show itself, let's wrap up. This was show 204. We had a 2-week break. We came back. We covered everything, and the PTR just dropped. So next week, we will be sure to go through all the important things. So if you don't feel like watching anything live, you can be sure to know that we will cover everything next show. And if you want to see everything live, stay tuned for Stefan to cover it. Or play around with it at least. So you can see what's going on. But that's it from us today. Thank you guys so much for supporting, for hanging out in the chat, all the subs, gifted subs, and also a shout out to people who are hanging out on the front page or on the Wowhead website, and people who are subscribed to Wowhead Premium. Thank you to all of you for supporting and allowing Wowhead to do what it does.
Yep. So hopefully we'll have good PTR stuff to share with you guys soon. Fingers crossed we get the models for the dressing room. And we will be back next week, and hopefully we'll have our data mining stream. Yep. We should do our high five.
Yes, high five before we go.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Yay! Perfect. Yay. I just remembered I need to get that sound effect so I can make the sound. Next time.
I didn't really hit the desk because Bright Paw's leg was in the way.
It's
so
okay.
That was more
the
needed.
Sound was great. It was great. But take care, everyone. Have a great evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you live. And we'll see you guys next week, same time, for the next show. And in 5 minutes, or maybe less, maybe plus minus 10 minutes, you'll see Stefan covering whatever is new with the PTR. Bye-bye, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
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 Bye.